It is some sort of mark in a band, in a talent, in an artist's career, that they are inducted into a Hall of Fame, whether it's a British, American, Lithuanian, or Canadian. And in this case, the Guess Who were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and then were immediately ticked off because they didn't get a chance to speak on the Juno broadcast. However, we have a special on the Guess Who. We have a special on the Guess Who. And Greg Lescue, by the way, who was one of the lead guitarists in the band, is 44 years old tomorrow. He had one of my all-time favorite bands organized in Winnipeg called Moo Ja Ja, Don't Bite the Band That Feeds You. And they had a wonderful hit called Queen Jealousy. And you guys don't know about that, so I just thought I'd fill you in. Now,
no.
What do you know from the Guess Who? Did you grow up listening to them, and did they have any influence on your music?
My older brother Mike listened to Guess Who quite religiously, but he'd never let me play his records. So what I know about the Guess Who I heard on the radio as a kid growing up, and always loved them, and actually never knew they were Canadian until I remember that distinctly, that I was older when I found out they were Canadian.
You like American Woman?
Yeah.
Like Shakin' All Over?
Shaking All Over?
Good hit.
Do you remember the contest they did where you had to find the Guess Who face in the bottom of the 7-Up can? Do you remember that? I remember that. That's
was it 7-Up? I thought it was Coke.
One or the other.
Yeah, well, they...
It was great, though.
Okay, fine. And did they have any influence on you?
Yeah, quite a bit. Huh? Still do. Okay, sure.
So what we put together with James Booth in Toronto, is he? Is that where MuchMusic is?
Yeah.
Yeah. We put this retrospective of the life and times of the Guess Who, solo and together as a group. This is Backtrax. These guys will be back in a couple of minutes' time.
Got no important things to do. We spend our time growing old again. Said woman, said get away. American woman, listen what I say.
It was my school, really. It was my pop music school. I learned almost everything that I know in that band. Other than basic influences, I was with a group called the Devrons for 4 years before that. But that was just, it was nowhere near the caliber of musicianship that the Guess Who had. And between Randy Bachman and the other guys, they taught me an awful lot. In the first 6 months, I learned all kinds of progressions and approaches to things that I was never aware of before that band. We kept writing innocent songs. There was an innocence about the Guess Who's music that probably gave it a lot of its life and its vitality. And had we been old seasoned pros, the music may not have been the same, and we may not have had the success. You know, I think it was the fact that Vietnam was at a terrible point of escalation. We were living in a place like Winnipeg, which was totally cut off from Vietnam, from all the craziness of the U.S. And that's one of the reasons I think the songs were accepted so well. They were from an innocent bunch of guys.
Well, come on, hanging around that door. Don't want to see your shadow no more. I don't need your war machines. I don't need your ghetto scenes. Colored lights can hypnotize. Sparkle someone else's eyes. Sing, baby. Sing, get away. American woman. Listen what I say. Yeah.
You've been listening to Burton in the last few years. Is he still as hot as he was back in '67?
He's the best voice in most countries in the world. I've always said that. I found it very tough being in BTO and kind of having to sing. All I ever had to sing in the Guess Who was the odd little harmony and behind his voice, which was very easy. I'll be very content to play guitar.
These eyes cry every night for you. Love of these arms
about just giving us a quick Cale history of the ups and downs, breakups, breakouts of the Guess Who?
In 70, from say, let's call it 78, I had a different version of the band working in the U.S. And I left that band because it was starting to look like the old band. And I got out of that for the best part of a year, and then moved to take the band over again because I owed a lot of money. I was still a partner, you see, the only solvent one.
Yeah.
So January '81, Jim joins the Guess Who for the third time. And I've been in it ever since. And the reunion tour took place in '83. I came off the road to do that. Spent a month doing that tour with the old guys. Can I say that?
Sure.
And went right back out and did a tour for Cool Cigarettes at 21 military installations in the U.S. And when that was finished, I put that band to bed. And 6 months later came up with the current band.
What had to happen for you to want to just get up and walk away from the Guess Who in '75, whenever that was?
It was like, I've made the analogy before, and I think it's true. I think it's kind of like a marriage that just ran its course. We got so bored with each other. We had so many personnel changes. We weren't the greatest of friends anymore. And then I guess the final straw, really, and it's not something, I don't want to create this bitter image, but it's something that I remember very, very distinctly. I had written the song I'm Scared while I was still in the Guess Who. Of all the 200-odd songs of mine that have made it to record, I think I'm Scared is one of the best ones, lyrically and musically. I think it's still a very credible song 15 years later. I played it for the guys at practice, and they said, well, it's not bad, Bert, but I don't really think we want to do it. I mean, I said to myself, in my head, at that minute, I quit. At that second, inside my head, I was no longer in the Guess Who. Because that's a great song for my point of view at the time. And yet to have the other three guys in the Guess Who in 1975 tell me that they didn't want to do the song, it's like, I kind of knew it was over then.
Have you been aware? You've got brothers and sisters who care about what's gonna happen to you any year from now. Shake your hand, maybe I'll be there to share the land. They'll be giving away when we all live together.
The Hall of Fame award went to the Guess Who unfortunately didn't get a chance to thank anybody for it until they met us backstage.
A Hall of Fame Lifetime Award. Do you still have something to say? I mean, are you spent from your speeches on stage, or
Yeah.
do something else?
We're spent from our speeches on stage, which were non-existent.
Why? What did they think you were going to say? Were they worried?
I don't know. That's kind of cheesy not to get to say thanks.
Well, you can say thanks now. Then I guess that's the way of all of us saying thanks to you.
This is really nice. And I remember the late Ben McPeak tonight, who was a tremendous inspiration to all four of us, and we miss him a lot. A great professional pal. And this belongs to him. This belongs to Jack Richardson. This belongs to Don Hunter and Kurt Winter as well. And especially Ben, we do remember you wherever you are, Ben.
Take your hand. You don't stand aside or you worried. No more sadness, no more sorrow, no more bad times.
Only now I think I'm starting to realize how big we were. It's impossible to be 21 years old and sell more singles than any other act in the world in 1 year. I don't think you can grasp that at 21. To this day, I can't believe that. 1970 was an amazing year.